Good afternoon. I'm Tiffany Kenny, and we're coming on the air with breaking news that you are seeing first on WPBF 25. Sheila Keene Warren, the woman accused of dressing as a clown to kill a romantic rival in Wellington in 1990, just pleaded guilty. Sheila Keene Warren pleaded guilty to a charge of second-degree murder. Let's listen into the court proceedings right now.
The defendant, or any that has not been thoroughly disclosed in discovery or explored by all lawyers in this case. The defendant understands she has the right to appeal the judgment of the sentence of the court within 30 days, and an attorney would be appointed to her if she could not afford an attorney. John, which a factual basis?
In a little bit.
Okay.
Ms. Keene Warren, did you hear all that?
Yes, sir.
And are you in full agreement with all those terms?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Scott, before we proceed further, has there been approval by the victim's family?
Yes, and I've spoken with Mr. Ahrens, Mr. Joe Ahrens. I believe he is on the Zoom,
Okay.
although I don't.
I'm checking that right now and make sure that that's the case, that he's.
Yeah, I know he was attempting to get on, but I can tell this court that I spoke with Mr. Ahrens extensively over the past 2 weeks, and then on last evening specifically, and he is 100% in agreement with this plea. I just am not seeing him on the Zoom.
Well, why don't we continue on and hopefully.
Let me send a text.
Okay. All right.
My assistants are working on that.
Okay. So like I said, at some point in time, I do want to give him the opportunity to be heard if he
Sure.
does. But what you've told me though, in essence, is that he's on board in acceptance of this resolution, correct?
Yes. And we spoke last night right around 8 o'clock, and he's in agreement with this plea.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
So again, Ms. Keene Warren, you heard Mr. Scott outline all those terms, and you're in agreement with those, right?
Yes, sir.
There's a document I have in front of me. It's 4 pages long. It's called Plea in Circuit Court. You recognize that document?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You had a chance to review all the details of that document with your lawyers,
Yes.
and there's a signature on page 3, above where it says acknowledgement of counsel. It says Sheila Keene Warren, defendant. Is that your signature?
Yes, sir.
You placed it there after careful reviewing all the terms with your lawyers, correct?
Yes.
And are you satisfied with all their counsel advice to you in this case?
Yes.
Have they done everything you've asked of her? Excuse me. Have they done everything they've asked of you? Have they done everything you've asked of them? Yes. Okay. All right. Now listen carefully to Mr. Scott outline the factual basis for your plea.
Yes, Judge. If this case were to proceed to jury trial, the state would present evidence and prove the following facts to a jury beyond a reasonable doubt. That on or about May the 26th of 1990, the defendant was responsible for the death of Marlene Warren at her home at 15470 Takeoff Place in Wellington. Said act that caused the death of Marlene Warren being imminently dangerous and demonstrating a depraved mind without premeditated and designed intent to kill. The state would present evidence and witnesses, civilian witnesses from inside of the home who would testify before this court that they observed a clown come to the front door, hand Miss Marlene Warren balloons and flowers before shooting her in the face. That caused her death. They would testify that they then saw the clown drive away in what they would describe as a white Chrysler LeBaron. The state would present both civilian and law enforcement witnesses that would testify to locating a white Chrysler LeBaron approximately 4 days after the murder in a Winn-Dixie parking lot. Said car contained trace evidence, including what some officers observed as long brown human hairs and what they described as artificial orange-like fibers. That same day, law enforcement executed a lawful search warrant of the defendant's apartment and observed, some law enforcement observed orange artificial fibers that appeared to be similar in appearance to the evidence located in the white LeBaron. At the time of this search warrant and encounter with the defendant, law enforcement would testify that the defendant's hair was long and brown and appeared to be consistent with some of the hairs located in the LeBaron. Civilian witnesses would also testify that the white LeBaron located at the Winn-Dixie parking lot was in the possession of a company called A Bargain Motors for weeks prior to the murder. A Bargain Motors at the time was a used car and rental business located in downtown West Palm Beach. At the time, it was owned and operated by a Mr. Michael Warren, who was at the time the deceased victim's husband. At that time, the defendant, Ms. Keene at the time was a repossession agent operating her own company, repossessing vehicles, but did repossess cars for A. Bargain Motors and Michael Warren. There would be civilian witnesses that would testify before this court to observing the defendant and Mr. Michael Warren together at several points in the months leading up to the murder. Civilian witnesses would testify that some of the times that they were together, they were in the same white Chrysler LeBaron. Some of the times that they were observed together, they were going in and out of the defendant's apartment. Some neighbors would testify to that. Some civilian witnesses would also testify to intimate interactions between the defendant and Michael Warren. Days after the murder, witnesses from a local costume shop, dance studio called the Spotlight Capezio would testify and state that a few days prior to the murder, a woman came into the shop and purchased a clown outfit, including a wig, a costume, makeup, however, with no shoes. Those two witnesses would positively identify the defendant from a photo array, 2 photo arrays from back in 1990. They told law enforcement at the time and would testify before this court that the person identified in the photo array was the person who purchased a clown costume with makeup approximately 2 days prior to the murder. The person in the photo arrays would be identifiable as the defendant in this case, Ms. Warren, Sheila Keene Warren. Upon a search of the defendant's apartment, no such costume was located. Upon speaking with the defendant in this case, she denied ever purchasing or wearing or owning a clown costume. A civilian witness from a local public supermarket would testify and describe a person with some similar features to the defendant at the time, purchasing a similar balloon and flower arrangement the morning of the murder. The civilian described the similar features, however, could not at the time make out a definitive identification. Subsequent to the murder of Ms. Warren, the evidence would show that, and the state would present the witnesses that the defendant and Michael Warren subsequently owned a restaurant in Tennessee called the Purple Cow. Documentation evidence would be presented to show that the defendant would marry Michael Warren, the deceased husband, in August of 2002, and the two would live together in Abington, Virginia until her arrest in 2017. The state would submit the totality of the facts and circumstances, would lead a jury to find her guilty of the crime. All of the events outside of the Tennessee facts and Abington, Virginia did occur in Palm Beach County, Florida.
Ms. Keene Warren, did you hear all that?
Yes, sir.
And do you agree with that factual basis?
Yes.
There's a 2-page document called the waiver of rights sheet, and it's got 16 paragraphs on it. And I know Mr. Scott has touched on a lot of the rights you're waiving, but do you recognize this 2-page document?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And are those your initials down the left side of all the paragraphs?
Yes,
Did you sign the second page?
yes, sir.
You realize, Ms. Keene Warren, that those rights are all set forth in that 2-page document. They include all the rights you have that you're giving up by entrance of this plea of guilty today. You understand that?
Yes,
Okay. For instance, you had a right to have a trial, right to require the government for the charges against you beyond a reasonable doubt. That's not happening. You could have testified. You could have remained silent. You could have had your lawyers challenge the evidence in the case. You could have appealed the case if you were convicted. That's not going to happen because you're waiving all the rights that are set forth in that 2-page document. You understand that?
yes,
And were your lawyers available to you to explain all those rights to you before you initially signed?
yes.
You need to talk to them anymore about any of those rights you're waiving.
No, sir.
Okay. And you realize that, is this a first felony conviction?
Yes, Judge.
Okay. Have your lawyers also discussed with you the significance of becoming a convicted felon?
Yes, sir.
You understand as a convicted felon, you lose certain civil rights, including the right to vote. Okay, you also understand as a convicted felon, you lose the right to legally carry a firearm in the state of Florida.
Yes,
Also, as a convicted felon, also, it makes it very difficult for one to get good employment. Do you understand that?
yes,
If you're not a U.S. citizen, you could be deported for this. Do you understand that?
yes.
Mr. Scott, I know you touched on this, but I ask you again. Are you aware of any physical evidence for which DNA may exonerate the defendant?
No, no, sir.
Mr. Rosenfeld, have you read the discovery and, well, actually, we asked Ms. Keen Warren, have you read the discovery and are you aware of any physical evidence which DNA testing may exonerate you?
No, sir.
I find that, and do you know of any physical evidence for which DNA testing may exonerate you?
No, sir.
I find that based upon these representations, no physical evidence exists for which DNA may exonerate the defendant, Ms. Keen Warren. You still have a right to appeal the legality of the sentence. An attorney can be appointed if you cannot afford one. The 4-page police sheet that you signed, does that outline the complete agreement between you and the government? This police sheet, is that the complete agreement between you and the government?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Is there anything else that you're relying upon in making this decision that's not specifically included on this document?
No, sir.
You realize after you leave the room today, you can't come back in here and withdraw this plea.
Yes, sir.
You understand you're bound by its terms?
Yes.
Also, when you're done with your sentence, do you realize this particular conviction could be used to enhance a future sentence that you get if you get in trouble again down the road?
Yes, sir.
All right. So before we go ahead with the change of plea, is the son available?
He is, Judge. He's actually right, well, on the screen above the witness stand. He's actually right next to you.
Okay. And
He's been able to hear. I got a note from my investigator. He's been able to hear everything.
does he want to make a statement at all?
Mr. Aaron's, do you wish to make any type of statement?
You got to press the unmute button. Sir, you need to press the unmute button if you'd like.
Go ahead and unmute, sir.
Good morning. Good afternoon, sir.
Can you hear me now?
And sir, can you tell us your name, please?
Yes,
What's your name, sir?
my name is Joseph Aarons.
Okay. And what's your relationship to the victim in this case?
That was my mother.
And would you like to address the court at this time?
The only thing I want to say is all through this trial, I didn't see any remorse. And that's all I have to say.
Has Mr. Scott reviewed with you the plea, and are you in agreement with the terms?
Yes, I am.
Thank you, sir. If you have anything else that you wanted to say, this is your opportunity if you'd like, sir.
God be with her.
Thank you, sir. All right. You can press the mute button if you'd like, sir. Before we do change of plea, is there anything else, Ms. King-Warren, you wanted to say this time? Okay, all right. Having heard everything we've discussed, Ms. King-Warren, do you still wish to plead guilty and have me impose the sentence as outlined in the plea agreement?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Mr. Rosenfeld, do you want to change your plea, please?
Yes, Your Honor. At this time, Ms. Keem Warren withdraws her previously entered plea and her plea of guilty as outlined in the plea agreement.
Ms. King-Warren, I find that you have made a knowingly voluntary and intelligent waiver of your rights. You know the charges against you and appreciate the consequences of the plea. And by the way, I didn't ask you this. Do you agree with the amount of credit that was mentioned earlier, and it's also signed off on the sheet, which is 2,039 days credit?
Yes, sir.
And you realize by agreeing to the number 2039, you're waiving any affirmative right to appeal the number 2039 as far as your credit is concerned. Understand that?
Yes,
Again, I find you made a knowing, voluntary, and intelligent waiver of your rights. There's a factual basis for the plea. I believe that Mr. King-Warren knows the charges against and appreciate the consequences of the plea. I accept the plea. In sense, according to the terms that are set out of the plea sheet, and there'll be adjudication. PSI is waived. Adjudication on. So count one, right?
Count one, second degree murder, sir.
And second degree murder, and with credit for 2,039 days, the defendant affirmatively waives any right to affirmatively challenge the number 2039 as far as the credit is concerned, and as far as court costs are concerned, judgment for the court costs.
She could pay it a year after release.
Year after release on court costs. Anything else from the other side?
Nothing from the state.
Okay, and again, I sentence her according to all the terms that are set forth on the plea documents as well. So, good luck to y'all.
Thank you.
Ms. King-Warren.
Thank you, Your Honor.
We're being recessed.
You are watching the court proceedings of a guilty plea in the Wellington killer clown case. Sheila Keene Warren, the woman accused of dressing as a clown to kill a romantic rival in Wellington in 1990, just pleaded guilty in a Palm Beach County courtroom. Keene Warren pleaded guilty to a charge of second-degree murder. Now, the trial was scheduled to start next month after numerous delays. Keene Warren married Marlene Warren's husband, changed her name, and moved to Virginia in the years following the murder. The case had grown cold by the time the lead detective took over back in 2013 and found a fiber among the crime scene evidence that prosecutors say linked Keene Warren to the murder of Marlene Warren. Our investigative reporter Terry Parker and Angela Rozier are there for today's plea, and we're going to come back on the air in just a few minutes and go to Terry live. For now, we send you back to programming.